Have you ever met someone and something just felt off? They smiled, they said the right words, but deep inside, you felt a quiet warning, and you ignored it. Most people do, but here's the truth. Your mind knows more than you think. And if you learn to listen, you can recognize fake people in seconds, not months, not years, seconds. Relatable opening. We've all been there. You meet someone new, maybe at work, maybe through a friend, maybe online. At first, everything feels fine. They laugh with you, they agree with you, they seem nice. But then, slowly, things change. They talk behind your back. They only show up when they need something. They act different around other people. And you sit there thinking, why didn't I see this earlier? It hurts. Not just because they were fake, but because you trusted them. And now you don't just question them, you start questioning yourself. Am I too naive? Why do I always miss the signs? Can I even trust my judgment? And that feeling, that doubt, it stays with you longer than the person ever did. Promise. But here's the good news. You're not bad at reading people. You've just been taught to ignore your instincts. Today, that changes, because once you understand how fake people reveal themselves, you won't need time to figure them out. You'll feel it almost instantly, and more importantly, you'll trust yourself again. Main content, flowing story. There's something very quiet about truth. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg for attention. It just exists. And your mind picks it up before your thoughts do. That uncomfortable feeling you get when meeting someone, that's not random. That's your awareness speaking. But most people silence it because we're taught to be polite, to give people the benefit of the doubt, to not judge too quickly. And while that sounds kind, it often makes you blind. Let me tell you something most people don't realize. Fake people don't look fake. They look normal, friendly, even charming. And that's exactly why they're hard to spot. But here's where things get interesting. They can't fake consistency, not even for a second. Think about the last time you met someone who felt off. Maybe it was a coworker. You shook their hand. They smiled, but their eyes didn't match. Their words said, "Nice to meet you," but their energy said something else. That tiny mismatch, that's the signal. Most people ignore that moment. They tell themselves, "I'm probably overthinking." But you're not. You're noticing something real. Fake people often try too hard in the beginning. Their kindness feels forced. Their compliments feel slightly exaggerated. They agree with everything you say, not because they care, but because they want control. And this is where things change. Real people don't need to impress you instantly. They're just themselves. Sometimes awkward, sometimes quiet, sometimes even disagreeing with you. But it feels natural. Nothing is forced. Nothing feels heavy. Fake people, on the other hand, create a performance. And performances always leave clues. Mini story 1. There was a guy who joined a small office team. On his first day, he was overly friendly. He brought snacks for everyone. He complimented everyone's work. He laughed at every joke. At first, people loved him. But one person felt uneasy, not because the guy did anything wrong, but because it felt too perfect. A few weeks later, that same guy started gossiping, taking credit for others' work, and slowly, the mask dropped. But here's the thing, the signs were there from day one. They were just ignored. Fake people rush connection. They want to get close quickly because real connection takes time, and they don't have the patience for that. Watch how someone reacts when you don't give them what they want. This is one of the fastest ways to see the truth. If someone is genuine, they respect your space. They understand your boundaries. But fake people, they get uncomfortable. They push, they guilt trip, or they suddenly change their tone. That shift, that instant change, that's the real them. Mini story 2. A girl once met someone new at a social gathering. He was charming, funny, attentive. They talked for hours. But when she didn't reply to his message the next day, his tone changed from kind to cold, from interested to distant. Nothing dramatic, just small changes, but enough to reveal something deeper. His kindness wasn't real, it was conditional. And this is something you need to remember. Fake people are only good to you when it benefits them. The moment it doesn't, you see the truth. But here's the part most people miss. You don't need to wait for that moment. You can feel it immediately. Pay attention to how you feel around someone, not what they say, not how they look, how you feel. Do you feel relaxed or slightly tense? Do you feel like you can be yourself, or like you have to act a certain way? Your body notices things your mind hasn't processed yet. Most people ignore discomfort. They think, I just need to get to know them better. But sometimes you already know enough. Mid-video rehook. Let me ask you something. How many times have you ignored your gut and later realized you were right all along? Exactly. So what if the problem isn't that you can't recognize fake people? What if the problem is you don't trust yourself enough to walk away early? And this is where your power comes back. Fake people also mirror you too much. At first, it feels like connection. They like what you like. They think like you think. They agree with everything. But over time, it starts to feel strange because no two people are exactly the same. Real connection has differences. Fake connection copies. And here's another quiet sign. They talk a lot about others. If someone constantly brings up other people's flaws, chances are they'll do the same to you. Mini story 3. A man once became friends with someone who always shared inside stories about others. At first, it felt like trust, like he was being included. But one day, he overheard that same person talking about him in the same way, same tone, same judgment. And in that moment, everything became clear. It was never trust. It was a pattern. Fake people reveal themselves in how they treat others, not just you. Another thing, they struggle with silence. Real people are okay with quiet moments. There's no pressure, no need to fill every second. But fake people often feel uncomfortable. They rush to speak, to impress, to maintain their image, because silence removes the mask. And here's something deeper. Fake people often make you feel slightly drained, not exhausted immediately, just a little off. Like something took your energy. You can't explain it, but you feel it. That's not random. That's emotional friction. Real people don't drain you. Even when conversations are deep or serious, you leave feeling clear. And this is the biggest shift you need to make. Stop judging people only by their actions. Start noticing their patterns. Anyone can act nice for a moment, but patterns don't lie. Consistency doesn't lie. Energy doesn't lie. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You don't need proof to protect your peace. You don't need to wait for someone to hurt you clearly. If something feels wrong, that's enough. Because every time you ignore your instinct, you teach yourself not to trust your own mind, and that's more dangerous than any fake person. But once you start listening, everything changes. You meet someone new. You observe quietly. You don't rush. You don't attach too quickly. You allow time to reveal truth, and you stay aware. Not paranoid, not judgmental. It's just aware. Because the goal isn't to avoid people, it's to protect your energy. And when you do that, something powerful happens. You attract better people, real people, people who don't need to pretend. Because fake people are drawn to easy access. And when you're aware, you're no longer easy to manipulate. And here's the final piece. You don't need to confront every fake person. You don't need to prove anything. Sometimes the strongest move is quiet distance. No drama, no explanation, just space. Because real strength isn't loud. It's calm, it's controlled, it's knowing who deserves access to your life and who doesn't. Ending, powerful conclusion. At the end of the day, this isn't about them. It's about you, your awareness, your boundaries, your peace. You've always had the ability to read people. You just stopped trusting it. But now, you see it differently. That small feeling, that quiet discomfort, that instant sense that something isn't right, that's not weakness. That's wisdom. And the more you listen to it, the stronger you become. Not colder, not distant, just clearer. You stop chasing approval. You stop forcing connections. You stop giving energy to the wrong people. And slowly, your life becomes lighter, calmer, more real. Because you're no longer surrounded by noise, only truth. So next time you meet someone, don't overthink. Don't analyze too much. Just feel. Listen. Trust that first second. It knows more than you think. Soft CTA. And if this spoke to you, if something inside you felt understood, consider subscribing. There's more like this coming, and it might be exactly what you need next.